Look, we were going to talk about LeBron James anyway. It was going to happen, Monty. Now we get to talk about him in a whole new fashion. Welcome in. Happy President's Day.
Happy President's Day. That's right. Monday. No better way to kick off your week than with a little on-air B&B, right? And we are coming to you live from the TireRack.com studios. TireRack.com will help you get there. An unmatched selection, fast free shipping, free road hazard protection, and over 10,000 recommended installers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Hit her up at Monse Bolanos. She did that all off the top of her dome. Right out of the gates. She doesn't need a script. She doesn't need any lines. I have to say this. Doug Gottlieb, about 2 months ago, lost a game to Michigan Tech that tipped off at about noon Eastern time. And the game ended probably at about little after 2 o'clock Eastern time. And that's when the nobody you conversation came out. Mm-hmm. And people were saying, Doug Gottlieb didn't even show up for his own radio show.
Remember that?
After making those comments. Well, number one, the comments were taken out of context. Number two, Doug was never scheduled that day. You can't, whether you like the fact or don't like the fact that he's got 2 gigs is beside the point. The game that was scheduled with the window that it was, there was no way he was going to be able to host a nationally rated show. This was back in December. So people think that he was ducking out. Do you think today would be the day that Doug would duck out after a victory?
No.
No.
He would love to be here.
No. Absolutely not. So Doug is not ducking out on anything. In fact, Doug actually may be joining us at some point on the show today, good. Even though we are in on this holiday.
Love that.
So we hope to hear from Doug Gottlieb at some point within the next 2 hours. But we heard from LeBron James this morning. Not on this show, but via Instagram. And Doug Gottlieb was the target of his message. What did I say? It was Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
About what?
Instagram. I meant X.
X.
It was on
I was like,
X.
what? It's like,
on
you know what? I still don't call it X. So when I was like, yeah, Twitter. That's why I was confused. I was like, I don't understand what you're trying. It's Twitter. Yes.
X. On X.
X marks the spot.
No, it doesn't.
College basketball report over the weekend prior to Doug's victory yesterday against Wright State tweeted out that Doug and the Phoenix hadn't won a game in 3 months. The Phoenix were currently 2-24. Oh, that was true. They hadn't won a game since late November. Doug's talked about it openly on the show. All he wanted was a win. And gosh darn it, he got it yesterday against Wright State.
He sure did.
First Horizon League victory. Congratulations to Doug Gottlieb in snapping that 21-game losing streak. And honestly, I'm just happy for the kids. We don't know them personally, but we've had interactions with the kids with going to his opening game at Oklahoma State. I stopped by and saw Doug in the summer at Green Bay and met some of the guys. So there's a connection there. And for as much as Doug has it, you know, Doug's got this job, Doug's got that job, Doug's got his contract. These kids have only these years. So You don't want them to go on a 21-game losing streak. So for all of the hate and the vitriol that Doug takes, there's also kids who are trying to live out their basketball dream on a 21-game losing streak. So Doug takes a lot of heat for this, but I think of those kids who were so excited to get that win yesterday and how awesome it was and how awesome that locker room scene was. LeBron James goes and tweets today, quoting the college basketball report tweet, pointing out that Doug hadn't won a game in 3 months. LeBron James says, earned to not given. Got to give him credit, though. Jason, you did the count on the emojis. What are we on the emoji count for the laughing emojis from LeBron?
I count 23 laughing emojis.
Nice.
In addition to 5 poop emojis?
Not yes.
2, not 3.
Very classic.
Not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
That didn't age well, did it?
We were going to talk about LeBron and him ducking out of the All-Star game.
We will.
And don't worry.
We will.
But this seems to be LeBron James. First of all, and I'm glad Jason actually made the distinction that it was X. Because this isn't a you're following thing.
Right.
LeBron's it is for you looking at everything else. Because this was from Saturday. When LeBron tweets this morning, this is actually dated information. Maybe this was early Sunday that they did it before his game. So LeBron is on dated information, but couldn't wait to take a shot at Doug, which I think is solely because of his – Doug has said a lot of stuff over the year that's ruffled feathers, but Doug took shots at Bronny James and Bronny James's career And one of the phrases Doug has used is that Bronny James' stint with the Lakers is more like a Make-A-Wish situation, that Bronny James was a Make-A-Wish kid. That's where I think LeBron James is piling on Doug Gottlieb here and his now 3-24 record with the Green Bay Phoenix. That's where I think this all stems from, this completely distracting from the fact that he bailed out on the All-Star game last night in San Francisco.
This obviously stems from that. There's no question where that tweet comes from. But LeBron, you don't have better things to do than to tweet Doug Gottlieb about this win? Like, it is the lowest of hanging fruit. Isn't your foot messed up? Shouldn't you be worried about that? Like, I don't get, like, why LeBron, to me, it makes LeBron look a little bit pathetic, if I'm being completely honest. And what Doug said about Bronny James, we're acting like nobody was critical of Bronny James when everyone and their mom was. So what Doug said wasn't breaking news or a hot take. Nobody thought that Bronny James was ready for the NBA. And so to me, I'm like, LeBron, this is the lowest hanging fruit. Come on, man. Like, this is what you're tweeting about? You're gloating about this to Doug Gottlieb? Like, man, he lives rent-free in your head. Come on, man.
And his point, Monse, is the exact point that Doug is trying to make about Bronny James.
Yes.
It's to be earned and not given.
Right.
And that was the problem that everyone had if they had a problem with Bronny James being drafted by the Lakers, because we feel it was being given to him because of his last name and who his dad was. And unfortunately, Bronny James is the victim in a lot of this because he's the subject, but it does trace back to LeBron. So it's completely hypocritical for LeBron to call out Doug in being in a job that LeBron says was given to him and not earned, when that's the whole point that people are saying about Bronny James. And whether LeBron is trying to turn it in using Doug's words or others' words against Doug, there is the fact that college basketball and college sports in general has turned to a spot where maybe you don't necessarily need to be in the coaching game for 25 years. You need to figure out a way to raise NIL money and do that sort of stuff and bring in different people. And honestly, that is a strength that Doug has over other coaches. Doug took the job in May, and I'm not sitting here fighting the battles for Doug, but it's the point of there's more of, if you wanted to compare the two, and if that's what LeBron is trying to do here, Doug getting the job at Green Bay is 10 times, 100 times more legitimate than the Lakers taking a flyer on Bronny James, who wasn't even ready for the NBA draft at this point.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I don't know the details of like what Doug has tried to do when it comes to coaching, but I know this isn't his first stint. I know he has some experience. Maybe it's not the experience to this level, but I agree with you. This we're not comparing the same thing. And like you said times are different. You are not looking for a necessarily older coach who's been around. You kind of want somebody to spice things up. We're literally seeing that. I know Bill Belichick is going to college. I mean, they're spicing that up too, okay, in a different way. But I'm with you. Like, it's not the same. And again, it's just like makes LeBron. This is not the tweet you think it is. You're not cooking here. You know what I mean?
And there are people getting pushed. There are people that are going to fight and argue with LeBron no matter what he does. Like,
yes.
That's true.
And people are going to fight with Doug no matter what he does.
Absolutely. And there's also a part of me, honestly, like I feel a little weird because it's not that Doug needs me to fight his battles. Doug can handle this himself. I think Doug would welcome this, and I think he'll welcome it when he's on the show tomorrow and when he actually hopefully joins us today if travel plans end up working out and allowing him to do so. Like, I don't need to fight anything for Doug. It just is LeBron now in our world. And I don't think this tweet erases what he did last night from NBA Twitter.
Not at all.
But it does in our world of Fox Sports Radio, and it does on the Doug Gottlieb Show, considering he's calling out Doug Gottlieb. You, Jason Stewart, had even pointed out, I thought it was Doug's comments using the Make-A-Wish phrase, which, by the way, not to discredit Doug, and other people have used that term as well in talking about Bronny. You felt there was another thing that Doug said that may have gotten under LeBron's skin to make him go to this route?
I think Doug was the only Division I head coach in the country that said that he doesn't know if Bronny would start for his team. That went viral. That was over the summer. That was a little bold, and that I remember that got some run too. Dan Patrick had commented on it, and at the time it was consistent with what Doug was saying about Bronny. But I think maybe in a vacuum, if you just kind of saw that would probably get on LeBron's radar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think LeBron has been sitting here waiting for the right moment. Again, I think he was on his For You page.
Really?
Not on the following page. Maybe sitting on the can, scrolling on a Monday morning, resting that foot.
You know, the minute Doug won, someone told him. They're like, hey, this is your moment.
But that's the thing is the tweet was already dated. Because Doug won yesterday. And unless LeBron is a huge Wright State fan, we know how much he loves Ohio State, being the Ohio guy, but maybe he also loves Wright State, which is in the state of Ohio. Could be. That could possibly be the case. But that's what happened. He was scrolling. The college basketball report tweet did gain steam because it's Doug, and they haven't had a good season, and they were riding that 21-game losing streak. So it was completely – Doug had no idea that Green Bay played yesterday and actually won. He wanted his opportunity and said, oh, wow, I remember what Doug Gottlieb said to Jason's point or to my point about the Make-A-Wish stuff, and now let's pile on. And maybe that's why there were the 5 emojis at the end, because of what he was doing when it came up on his For You page. It's exactly what happened. But
either way, LeBron, take care of your foot. Come on, get out of here.
NBA Twitter isn't going to worry about this,
No.
but we will on Fox Sports Radio.
Obviously.